All right, everybody, it's Mallory Donahue from the Self Sewn Wardrobe, and sorry if you saw me like blip and go live real quick earlier, but I was having a little bit of technical difficulties, and actually the Facebook app has been crashing on my phone terribly over the past few days, so I hope that doesn't happen while I am doing this live broadcast. So, hi Lauren, how you doing? Oh, and other Lauren and other Lauren, good to see you both. In the live broadcast here. I know it's been a while. So yeah, Lauren says she had a heck of a time finding the live. Well, I tried to start it and my app was just being really odd. So anyway, I got it started now and I think I have a pretty good camera angle here. I wasn't sure how many machines I wanted to have on this, etc., etc. I'm just going to show you, I'm going to show you how to make the Floozy Doozies today. I'm not going to show you finishing the leg openings and the waist because there are lots of different ways to do that, and that might be like another live broadcast that I do because I didn't, I want to set up a few machines to do that, and I didn't have time to do that today. But what this video is really all about is how to get the fully enclosed seams that I talk about on the inside of the Floozy Doozies. Hey, Kate. Kate from the UK. She's a Zigzag member, so she got the video on how to do the drafting and measuring for the Floozy Doozies the other day. Hi, Jen. Hi, Lindsay. How you doing, Lindsay? And Julie. So what I'm going to focus on is kind of the method for doing the enclosed seams. I have the underwear I have here that are cut out. They are for my mom, so they have a flat front, okay? But the Floozies, the Floozy Doozy underwear pattern have a, they include in them a place for you to do, you cut out your front pieces so that it has front volume as well. So it can be made for any kind of genitalia, but these are what I call the flat front undies, okay? And so right now, this pair of underwear, this is what I made for my mom, and you see that actually at the moment, since the waist and the leg openings, not leg holes, ZD doesn't like it when I say leg holes, so I'm struggling to say leg openings. Since I don't have the waistline and the leg openings finished, these are actually, right side out both ways because I have fully enclosed seams here. Why this construction technique I think is like a good thing to learn or incorporate is because it gives you more options. You can, as I've done on this pair of undies, these are simply lined with the same fabric. It's a Riley Blake knit, cotton spandex knit. It might, actually I have a pair just like this. It's what I modeled. I think they're really comfortable. But you might find this to be too thick. You don't have to line them. You actually can make the front and back panels of these underwear out of woven. You can do a lot of things, or you could like line with woven and do the outside in a knit. So there's just like so many options here, or you could line with maybe say like some kind of moisture wicking fabric and then some fashion fabric like on the outside or whatever you want to do, okay? But doing it this way with two layers on the front and back make it so that you have fully enclosed seams and a fully enclosed crotch seam too, okay? So when I say enclosed seam, I mean that there is no surging toward the body at the moment, okay? Or zigzagging if you use a sewing machine. So that's what I mean by that. So fully enclosed seams. Okay, so let's get this party started. Here is my front panel of my Floozy Doozy undies. Well, they're not mine. These are ZD's size, okay? And I have two front panels cut. And like I said, these happen to be of the same fabric, okay? But you can do lots of combinations, okay? Hi, Riley. Riley says he can't stay and watch. He's got too much work, but I appreciate you saying hello, and I miss you. Okay, this is a side panel of the Floozy Doozy undies, and we are going to first seam together a side panel to our front panel, okay? So, this is always a little fun to do on Facebook. Just going to show you the layering process, all right? And if you like my t-shirt, you'll be able to own one too. So here's the leg opening, and the leg opening on my side seam is down here. And this is marked on the pattern. Actually, on the pattern drafting guide, it shows you there are little notches, you know, to show you the front and the side back seams, okay? The front and the back, excuse me, the front and the back side seams, okay? And so that's what you do. So I've got those. These are, let's call this right sides together, but I'm not finished, okay? Next, I am going to, and actually I think you can see that laid out on my table there. I'll take advantage of that. So I have that lined up, and then I get my other front piece. Whoop. I'm all messed up. And I do it right sides to right sides. Now, the fabric I'm working with for my side panels is a mesh, so it doesn't have a right and a wrong side. This mesh does not. But if you did, you know, you'd keep that in mind for your other side, okay? And you would also, since I'm using the same here, you know, we can't go wrong in this world here where we have a side panel with no right and wrong side, and our front panel is lined with the same fabric as the outside. Okay, so basically here we have sandwiched between our two layers of the front panel, we have our side panel, and so now I'm going to sew up this seam. What this seam is, what I'm sewing right now is like right here, okay, this seam, that's what I'm about to sew. The Floozies have actually, we've kind of been testing them out with a couple of different seam allowances and drafting a couple of different things. So 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch, whatever you want to use. And maybe I'll turn this a little bit. Super strong. Okay. Try not to turn my back to you too much. But what I'm going to do now is just zip down the side of these. So I'm barely cutting anything off because I've measured, and that's about the seam allowance I need. Take out my pin. Kate, who made these, who's watching, said that they took her, I think, about like 15 or 20 minutes or something, and that included the measuring and the drafting, so I thought that was cool. Okay, here's number 1. That's seam number 1. So see how we sewed it together like this, okay, and then it came out. When we turn it, you know, quote, right side out, everything is fully enclosed. Okay, so now we're actually going to, you know, do basically the same thing with the other side panel. So I'm going to fold up this side panel and get my other side panel and find my other front side seam. I don't have these marked, but you can mark them, okay, like while you're making them so that you don't mess this up. And I'm making a little bit of a sandwich here, okay? And when I line these up, I stick a pin in it, and it's really more just to keep my layers together. This seam is 1-to-1. There is no easing or anything like that, okay? So that's fine. Maurice is asking, would this be good for swim bottoms? And Lauren says, I think this would be great for swim bottoms. The swim bottoms that I made myself, that Mom just posted a picture, they were in our month of activewear. Was that last month? I get a little confused. But I made like a rash guard and some bottoms. Those are Floozy Doozies, okay? And I put, actually that's where I kind of got, when I was experimenting with fabrics with that, I actually made my side panels on those out of a fabric that did not have as much stretch as, quote, my pattern, you know, that I was, you know, kind of tweaking and messing with. Like, I was like, oh, I really should use more stretch. I think this fabric isn't very stretchy. But then I made them, and my center and back side panel, my front and back panels were stretchy, and they worked. And so I was like, we can really, like, kind of sky's the limit here, you know. So these are definitely good swim bottoms. The underwear that you get from the Floozy Doozies are kind of a low leg, high waist pattern. If you have a low leg and you have a high waist, then you got everything in between. You can have a low leg and low rise. You could have high leg and high rise. You could have something that kind of meets in the middle. But once you have this pattern, it fits your entire kind of like lower trunk area from waist to crotch, then you can start messing with it. And I just started watching Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling Glow on Netflix, and I was like, well, my underwear pattern could be adapted to be costumes for this show. And if you wanted to like show not only your hip flexor, but then like your hip bone and then like whatever other little, you know, crease that's called in the medical world, you can do it, okay? Whatever you want, you can customize these to be whatever you wish. Okay, so less talking, more sewing at the moment. If anyone could tell me what stitch I'm using right now, you get bonus points. Okay, so I'll just leave that out there. Wait for the comments. Take out my pin. Just keeping my layers together. And if you guys are like, oh, she's not keeping everything perfectly aligned, it's very difficult to sew on TV like this. So, right now, here we go. Okay. 3-thread narrow, yay! Okay. Yeah, great Rhonda and Marisa and Casa and everybody, yeah, good job. Okay, so you see right now I've got this like these two front panels and they are right sides together, okay? Da, 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 da. And there's stuff inside there. Okay, now I'm gonna turn it right side out. And voila, ta-da. I don't know who just commented because it scrolled by kind of fast, but they said if they're swim bottoms, maybe they should be a little narrower. I think it depends on what fabric you use. These are supposed to fit like a second skin, and I didn't alter my pattern any between underwear and swimwear. This could be different for you, okay? So that's very true. So I don't know if, I'm so sorry, I missed the name and somebody who, like, I know, I just didn't see. Okay, so, yeah, you may want to make these a little tighter, but I didn't have to. And I think it's because I used, you know, a swimwear knit that, while it's stretchy, still pretty stable, and that's the kind of swimwear knit I like to use, okay? But yes, the type of fabric you use can affect the fit, like on any garment. Okay, Voodoo Magic, yep, there we go. Fully enclosed seams, can you see? We don't see the serging. All right, so now we go to the back panel. I have two back panels here, okay? This is what the back panel looks like. So here's the crotch, like, curve where it's going to attach to the front later, but we don't do that yet, okay? This is what we do first, and so we're going to attach this to the side panel. So same concept here, that's the word I'm looking for. Can lay this down, and I would do this right sides to right sides if I had something that was, you know, picky like that, you know, had a right side and a wrong side. Okay, so I'm lining that up, and then I take my other back panel, whoop, right side up, and then I do the same thing. Now, this is not like, you know, I'm not going to pretend like this is something new in the world or something like that, okay? This method of these enclosed seams and but it's going to help you. Oh, Lauren says I did the crotch first when I made mine last night. You can do that. Yeah, you can. It's not impossible to do it that way. I just think it's a little easier this way. But what I want to say is, as you start to get this a little bit, you're going to find that in other activewear patterns, you're like, oh, if I can incorporate one more layer, I can enclose all these seams. And how often do we want to line activewear? Kind of often if it's like over our crotches or something like that, you know, no matter who we are. So this is fun to me, this little bit of like, you know, just like mental exercise about enclosing this stuff. Okay, so someone said, did I miss fabric recommendations for this pattern? Man, anything that stretches just about. We're going to probably recommend a 50 to 75% stretch, but we've tested this out with a woven panel for the front and the back. So these are really customized to fit you in this pattern, okay? It has drafting dots that you use based on your measurements, okay? So when you draft it to yourself, you're not working with a size range, okay? You're not saying, I'm a size 8 and that's for a person with a waist between 36 and 40 or something. That's very random. All right, so one person who's a size 8 might like the fit in a certain fabric, and another person who's a size 8 might not like it, might have to take it up. It depends on how squishy you are. It depends on how you like your underwear to fit, etc., etc. So you're really going to be able to play around with this. And the pair that Sam and I did to test the woven theory, and I have them over there, we used quilting cotton in the front and the back and a knit on the sides, and they just, I mean, they look actually kind of cool. I don't know if I would wear the quilting cotton all the time. It actually wasn't that terrible, okay? I'm pretty close fitting, but the sides stretch, so they allowed for that stretch there. But you're not relying solely on the negative ease of the pattern in the fabric when you draft something that's a little closer to your body. So I think that that gives you a little bit more knowledge and power to customize them. Okay, so I've got now I have my back, my two back panels, okay? They are on either side of the side panel. Let's sew this. My pin is just holding my layers in place. If I'm sewing and I'm not on TV, I don't really use a pin. You can. I'm just saying, like, you know, we're not really matching anything up. This is all one-to-one. You're good. No ease here. No need to ease a seam in, okay? They should pretty much match up. All right, fa-boom, fa-boom. So now we have like a big long thing here, okay? We have every pattern piece has been included so far. We have a big long line of undie pattern pieces, and hi Brian, everything is fully enclosed. So now what we're gonna do is our final side seam. Okay, so lay this down, and you can fold this all up in there. Some of you might be tempted to call this a burrito, okay? And I will tell you that ZDs are like, oh my God, are we calling everything a burrito? And we've been doing it like that way all this time. We don't call it a burrito. And I even saw someone in the group, there was a person who was doing like a bodice that they wanted lined, you know, and they didn't do the burrito method, and then they went back and they found it, and great. So I'm glad there's a name that we can all search by, but it's just, you know, called doing enclosed seams. And it's not necessarily a new thing, but the term burrito is like, you know, trendy and new. So the reason one might call it a burrito is because there's all this stuff in there. But we do, oh, I was being silly there. I just rolled that up. But you have to sew something. You can't just roll it up. Okay, so we want our side seam there. Sorry, everybody. That was kind of funny. Okay, finding that side seam, putting it there, folding up the entrails. Maybe that's why they call it a burrito. Here I am trying to come up with something else, and I getting kind of visceral on you. Okay, so lining up this seam. This is the same seam, you know, it's the mirror image of the same seam that I just sewed, but here we are. Everything is kind of like inside there, okay? So now, match up all my layers. And zoom down that seam, match that up. And like I said, if things are a little imperfect on these, that's because I'm sewing on TV. But also, you know, if they're imperfect while you're making them, hey, they're a knit. Don't worry about it. Okay, so here we have our Floozy Doozies. Okay, almost done. Okay, except for the crotch seam. Okay, so if I'm making these with the flat front here, okay, for ZD, she does not have voluminous genitalia. If you are making the version that has the volume in the front, and I'll do a video on this will be included in the pattern instructions, you will have a seam up the front that gives you that curve, okay? Which means that you won't be able to open the front if you've done it in such a way that you get an enclosed seam, okay? So you might do this a little bit differently, but I'm going to do it this way, just so you know, there are different instructions. Oh, and then one thing, when you cut out a pattern piece on the fold, something we normally always do, is mark that center with a little clip. That didn't happen here, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so this pattern piece is cut out on the fold, but it's okay. I have my handy dandy snips here, and I'm just going to snip this. I'm going to leave the back together like this, okay? And then same thing with the front. Yeah, I don't see a notch on here, so I'm going to do that. If you have something cut on the fold, it is always good to notch your center. You never know why, you never know if you might need it or not, okay? And it doesn't hurt anything. And so we don't cut the notches out. Normally while we're cutting, we just snip in a little triangle or cut in with a rotary cutter. Okay, that center is there. Okay, so now I've got, this is my back and this is my front. And for those of you who are like, how do I sew a crotch gusset? Ah, it's so weird. There are two curves and they are different and da 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 da. Well, you are right. Yes, very weird. What I do, okay, is I line up my centers. So I have my back piece has been left alone, but with my front, I just take one layer and I line up my center, okay? And then I take my other layer and we're creating another burrito here, or a, you know, some kind of car accident where we see entrails, okay? And we have our crotch gusset all here, okay? So I have all four centers here. Gosh, doesn't this look like a mess? Sure does. But what I'm concerned about only right now are my centers, and I am going to put a pin in the centers. Just through there. That's what I got. This is all I pin. So do you see how we have these curves that seem incongruous here? Okay? Well, in reality, they are the same length. Like if you butt the pattern piece up together, it's like there was a flat thing that someone cut curvy, right? It could actually be cut straight if you want it to, but it just kind of fits under the body, like that motion, okay? Fits under the body nicely like this. This is all you need, especially with a knit, okay? Okay. With the woven, it might be a little more challenging. And then what I'm gonna do is line up the corners that I'll start with, okay? That's what I'm gonna do. I am not worried about the second half of my crotch gusset yet. So what I have is pinched in my fingers the first corner, and I have pinned that center of the crotch gusset, okay? Well, I'm holding so I can see the pin, okay? All right. Then I'm going to get started on my serger, and let me just play with fire here a little bit and try and move you closer to me. I'll just tempt fate. Everything's gonna come crashing down. Oh, okay. Well, actually, I think you can see me okay. All right, I pinched those first few corners together. Do you see how everything isn't lining up perfectly yet? That's okay. I want to get started on my serger. Everybody see me? I know, this isn't the best angle for this, but I'm just gonna get started. Okay, I got started. I've taken maybe 3 stitches onto my fabric, and what I have there are just 3 stitches started at the corner, and then my crotch centers. So my curve that looks like this, and my curve that looks like this together. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently manipulate the fabric so that those curves all become straight lines on top of each other. I'm also making sure that none of my entrails here are in my way. The best way to get stuff to serge something wrong is to like try and do it on live like this, okay? So if I stretch that just barely, okay, it's not a ton. If I stretch that a little bit, things become straight and they can feed under my serger so they will match up. But you say I shouldn't stretch things because they're gonna, you know, come out of shape and look wavy and everything. If you have a serger that is properly adjusted and is making like a good serger stitch, this shouldn't happen. All right, I got to my center. You saw me take my pin out. Don't serge over pins, okay? Don't sew over pins. And then I'm gonna take my other corners. So look, I'm not like pinning across the whole gusset. This is not advisable, okay? So I take my other corners, I put them together, and then I've got 4 layers here, all pinched, okay? And I will gently stretch to align my raw edges into a straighter line than they were. Be careful with your entrails. Oop, a little sloppy there. Okay, so here we are, and we have a curve, okay? Okay, everything's caught. And now for the big reveal, and hopefully I haven't caught anybody in this crotch gusset. Don't get things caught in your crotch gusset. Butamus, okay? Oh, here, hold on. Now I'm using black thread on here so that you can see better my seams, but I would have wanted to use white thread for that. Oh, look, you can like barely see it. So there's my curve. And when this is on my body, everything is gonna, oh, look, little shadow. That's nice. That's a good, so white is getting a little overexposed. Here we go. I'll learn how to be an underwear shower offer, okay? So that's that. Now, let's say you got a little off over here. Look, I have like a, I don't know, like a millimeter of fabric there off, okay? Don't worry about it, okay? You're just about to like sew elastic on there and turn it, or you're gonna add a fabric band to it or something like that. Like just, it's okay, okay? But when you are pinning the crotch gusset on any pair of underwear, and I know a lot of you, like you have like the scrundies or you got the rad panties or whatever, you know, whatever you got, don't worry about itty bitty little, I don't even know if I want to call it discrepancy, but a little bit of, you know, not matching there. It's going to go into another seam, okay? So, yeah, it's just really, like, that is not a big deal. I'll tell you, it's a big deal to cut things precisely, okay? It's a big deal to mark your notches, but on your stretchy underwear, this is going to be okay, all right? So, oh, Mary said, are you going to be selling those shirts? Yes, we will. I'm working with a local screen printer. I have these done locally, and we are making sure that we are choosing the shirt that has like the right size range and everything. We'll be doing a pre-order for these guys. So it says I am a sewing machine and I designed it, and some of you have the little enamel pin that has this design on it, okay? Lauren says, this is why quilters get twitchy at me sometimes. I can work with a little off. Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of quilting really needs to be, Diana says, can you show how the layers look? Can you open it up? Well, this is how it looks on the inside. It's all enclosed. And this is how it looks on the outside. It's all enclosed. Now, if I were to take it back out the way I sewed it, you would just see one line of 3 thread narrow stitching. But I will show it to you again. So, curve, curve. 3 thread narrow, everybody. Not unraveling. Okay, I know I'm leaving, leave long serger tails, but yeah, and it's not popping. This is as far as my fabric stretches. Here, this is as far as my fabric stretches. Nothing's coming apart. I'm not wearing Floozy Doozies right now, but I have been, okay? So, yeah. Oh, Mary's asking, is this power mesh? Yup. This is power, well, technically, this is the stuff we sell, which is not power mesh. It is power shaper net, okay? So it is a little bit more substantial than other power meshes that one might buy. power mesh generally isn't as strong. This could actually, if you sized appropriately, could provide a little bit of compression for you. Whereas power mesh, like when we've ordered samples and stuff, it's just kind of thinner. Great, it's still totally usable for underwear, but just so you know. And I don't think, this might not be like quite as sheer as what power mesh is. You see, I'm a pretty light-skinned person, and I put this black on myself, and it gets pretty dark. Even when it's stretched out, a power mesh might look a little bit more sheer, okay? So, depending on what you need. But I love this for underwear. I love it so much. Okay, finishing off the waist and the leg openings. Did I tell you all that I kept saying leg hole, and Mom's like, don't call it a leg hole. Like, it sounds like you got a hole in your leg. And I was like, yeah, you're totally right. Okay. Leg opening. There are lots of ways to do that. So we're going to do more videos about that. I'm not going to talk to you about finishing. You can serge elastic on, zigzag elastic on, turn it up and zigzag it or cover stitch it. Another thing that I did on my on my swim bottoms that I made using this pattern, I just turned it up and cover stitched it, and it worked. Okay, I just that might not work all the time. We're gonna test it in a few ways. So I didn't add in any elastic, but the leg is so low that I think that worked on this, on this style. Okay. Mary said, why put it on the sides? Is it doing something, or is that just what you wanted? Kind of just what I wanted. It's just it's kind of sexy that they're sheer. So yes, it wasn't necessarily for like a control purpose or anything like that. Good question, Mary. And if I had another option, something I could have done if I'd wanted the sheer on the sides, but like a little bit more support in front and back, I could have lined like in the black power mesh too, and then just have the diamonds on the outside. There are so many ways that you can do these that, I'm not going to wait until we've done everything that we can do before releasing the pattern. That would put me into some classic analysis paralysis here. That would happen. So this pattern, this is the Floozy Doozy Undies. It's our first PDF pattern, and it is available. The first draft of it is available to our straight stitch, backstitch, and zigzag members at sewhere.com. So it's something that you can print off right now, okay? And work along with us. And so we're still writing the instructions, but we thought we would give members a first look at, all of this stuff. And we've got some testers who are gonna test out the instructions for us, make sure I've included everything, etc. So yeah, well, Mary said, are you gonna show how to line it? Well, I did. I just lined it with the same fabric. So you just put something else in there. So you just replace, okay, instead. Now on the pattern, it's going to say like, cut one fabric, cut one lining. Now, what you choose to make the fabric and what you choose to make the lining are up to you. And so we all know that people have really strong feelings about what kind of fabric you should be putting against your genitals, okay? I like to put any old thing down there, okay? I'm willing to experiment. I am comfortable with double brush poly, with cotton. I would love to make some like merino, spandex undies too. Some people have asked for like 100% cotton to make underwear. And the only problem with that can be is if you don't incorporate some spandex or some lycra in with your fabric while making underwear or activewear, and you just use like a knit, like an interlock cotton, it won't have the recovery that a lot of people have come to expect and enjoy from underwear and activewear. So if that's something that you are wanting, 100% cotton down there, well, like I mentioned earlier in the video, we have experimented with making this back and front panel a woven, okay? So you still get the stretch at the sides, but you can get woven, okay, on the front and the back. So if you are not opposed to wearing synthetic fibers other places in your bodies, but around your genitals you want 100%, cotton or bamboo or blah, 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 with no spandex, and you don't want to worry about like super saggy crotch, fabric, all right? Then maybe you could replace it with a woven. Lauren commented earlier, I have some red silk that would really make a sexy pair. Yeah, okay, I'm totally making like satin, here, okay? absolutely. I cannot wait. And I actually have some silk from LA Finch that I want to use. And I mean, that's just going to be so fun. Kate says, I need spandex in my skin. I can't help you there, but I totally agree. In fact, so I was modeling the Floozy Doozies because I am the cheapest model that we can get and the most expensive model that we can afford right now. So... You know, and I did it to the side, and I did some other things, and you could kind of see my tummy. And, you know, I say this, I have that tummy because I had a baby 9 months ago, and, you know, when I'm in tip-top shape generally and back to what I feel like is sort of like normal for me, I don't have that tummy, but it doesn't matter. Got it right now. Need underwear right now. Need to model underwear that I have developed right now, and so... took my pictures in it. So no matter your belly situation, Floozies can fit you, okay? All right, so if you just joined in and you want to go back and look and see how these are made, to have all of the enclosed seams and whatnot, you can go back and watch this video on the replay. Thank you all for watching. We'll go over more finishing techniques for underwear later this month, in July, this month of making underwear. And this is definitely a great time to make underwear because it is all I want to be wearing right now because it is hot outside where I am. Now, I know that all of you in Australia and New Zealand, etc., you are in the cold months now. You can make yours out of wonderful merino spandex from New Zealand sheep, okay? Kate says, I had a baby recently too. 25 years ago is recent, right? Yeah, you know, I really do. I like to talk about, you know, body positivity here, and I hate to sort of say, I mean, it is true for me that I have this baby and that I sort of expect, because of how I know my body, I had another baby too, 3 years ago, that it'll go, you know, it'll look different a few months down the line after I've been exercising and stuff. Like, that's my story, you know, but I don't mean to, you know, some people are like, I've got this belly, I'm not pregnant, how do I sew for it? Well, that is the point of the patterns that we are releasing. You measure your body, you plot those points according to your measurements, and then you cut out the right amount of fabric to go over the body, no matter what's happened to it, okay? No matter what injuries it has sustained, what life it has carried or not, or, you know, whatever's going on, you get to make undies for you based on your body measurements. So yeah. All right, well, love you all. So glad to do a live again. I'm sorry about the cancellations and some of the spottiness, but I've been dealing with some health issues of my own, and so I appreciate your flexibility and your support. And if you are a straight stitch, a back stitch, or a zigzag member, go check out the pattern. It's in your profile under my downloads, and if you want to become a member, you go to sewhere.com/membership for more information. All right, everybody, have a fabulous day.